Today's daf is Mesechtes Nazir Daf Lamed. So we're a few lines over here before the Mishnah on Lamed Amud Aleph, where the Gemara says E-I-C. So 2 lines from the top actually, the second to last word on the line of the second to top line. So the Gemara. So the Gemara just said that we had Reb Chanina before that said Im Katan, then he'll be a Nazir a Manavshach, because he's a Katan to have his father's Naziris, and if he's a Gadol, then he'll be Mekabel Naziris on his own. So the Gemara said that according to Rebbe, that holds that a father can mother a son Naziris until he brings Shtei Cyrus, which is a Gadol 13 or whatever. So the Gemara said that you have to say that Chanina's Kavana was, and Katanani was not for Katnas and Gadlus of Oynas Nadarim, which is 12, rather Katnas and Gadlus Gomer, which is Shtei Cyrus, which is more or less 13. So Zok the Gemara. So the Gemara wants to know like this, that according to Rebbe, when this happened, that it says, the Gemara said that Reb Gamliel wanted to be Baidik Reb Chanina, when did he bring Shtei Cyrus? So the Gemara. So now the Gemara is saying, according to Rebbe, Shtei Cyrus Meikara, if it's talking about that Reb Gamliel was Baidik Reb Chanina, he checked him out and he checked when did he bring Shtei Cyrus. Was it before his father was Madir him for Naziris? So Kohen ben Naziris delay if he bought Shtei Cyrus before his father was Madir him, then he's in his own rishos. Then he has his own Chalois Naziris on himself, so he could bring Karbanos and then the Naziris. And if he brought the Shtei Cyrus after already finished the Shloshim Yemei HaNaziris, that his father was mad at him, so it's also not Shver on Rabbi. Why? Because Kohen Naziris Davua. He had Naziris of his father, and then he brings the Karbanos at the end. But Frak the Gemara, what happens if he went through half a Naziris? He did 15 days, and then that his father was Madir, and then he brings Shtei Cyrus in the middle. So Frakti Gemara L'chor Naziris is bottle, because it's talking about that because L'chor the father was Madir Naziris on his son, and he brings the Shtei Cyrus after 15 days, then the Naziris goes away by itself. So why did Chanina tell him Leo that he doesn't have to baidik him? Because Maman Shach, it's either his father's Naziris or his own Naziris. L'chor if Chanina had Shtei Cyrus come in the middle of a Nazir Shleishim Yain, L'chor made Naziris is batal, and he can't bring Karbanos. Says the Gemara, Hanichal Reb Yosef Yehuda Amar. Ache Giela in his darm. It's very gishmak. Like the Gemara saying it's good. Like Reb Yosef Yehuda that holds that this man that the following mother is on Naziris is only until on his darm, which is 12. So then it's not shver. It's not fair, because even if the father was Madir, and then he turned 12 and he reached Einis Adarim, and even if he reached Einis Adarim and it was the middle of the days of Naziris, still in Naziris is not Batal of his father, and he could bring the Karbanos at the end of Naziris. But according to El Rebbe's Gemara, that's the Amar that says that the following Gemara is only on Shiav Shtei Cyrus. So the L'chor Chanina's Kavana was when said him Katan and Gadol, he was Katnas and Gadol's Mamish of Avos Shtei Cyrus. So Ma'ikal Meimar, how could you explain? How could Rabbi Chanina explain himself to Gamliel that he doesn't have to be baidik? So what's the Maisa the difference? The Gemara doesn't really explain, but what's Pshat according to Rabbi Yosef Yehuda? If you reach Einis and Daram, the L'chor goes into his own rishos also, so the zero should be batal. So Tosis and the Rosh say that the reason is because the whole din Mufla Samach La'ish is only the Rabbanon, and the Chacham were not Masakin that the Nazir should be a bottle. Mashengan Avos Shtei Cyrus is Deraisa and Melat's Mavatal Naziris even after it's already Chal. Okay. And Chazanish in the Berchus Rosh says, Mavur from Toisus, that even the man that Amar Mufla Samach Lishus Deraisa, the Nazirus, if you hold Mufla Samach Lishus Deraisa, then the Nazirus would tackle your pocket when the Ben reaches Zayin Asadar. Okay, so that's Gemara's Kasha, Bekitzer, Loit Rebbe. That what was Chanina's Taina, that Lachar and Nazir should be battle becomes the middle of the Shlishim Yom Na'af. So Dr. Gemara, Amri, B'nai Yeshiva said that L'Rebbe lekat akanta Yosef Dilei v'Yosef Davai. It's taka no takana. There's no fix on bringing korbanos, unless the 30 days of Nazirus were that the father was Madir's son were complete, and then afterwards. So the Gemara is saying the only way to take care of this problem like Rebbe is Adi Yosef Dilei v'Yosef Davai. He would have to sit in Nazirus for his father or for himself. Delay, Gemara says delay first. And Yosef Davai would have to be in Nazirus, sit a full 30 days after he finishes the Nazirus for his father. Would have to do his own Nazirus, that is Mekabel himself, and then you could say that Manav Shachus and Nazir Shloshim Yom, and Mele he has a right to bring Karbanis, either because of his own Nazirus or because of his father's Nazirus. So Mozayin, that's where Bechanina meant that he's going to sit two Nazirus, and Mele he could bring the Karbanis. Okay. Zakti Gemara Bait, Zakti Mishnah. So this Mishnah is going to come to explain. This Mishnah is going to talk about Ishma Galeach on Nazirus Aviv, that there is a special din in Karbanis of Nazir, that a person is a Nazir and is Mafresh Mois for Karbanis of his Nazirus and he dies, and after his death his son is Mekabel Nazirus on himself, then the son could bring the Karbanis of his Nazirus from the money that his father was Mafresh for his father's Nazirus. However, the other Karbanis, it's not like this. A son cannot bring a carbon for himself for money that his father was mafresh for a carbon for himself. Specifically by Nazirus, you have halacha that the son could. Zok the Mishnah. Ha'ish migaleach ha'ish, which is a Nazir, and at the end of the Nazirus, he has to bring karbanis and do taglachas. He has to bring migaleach. And his father was also Nazir and his mafresh money for his Nazirus, and he died. So there's halacha Moshe Sinai that migaleach al Nazirus of a son could be migaleach on the karbanis that his father brought on his own karbanis. Then he could bring it from money that his father was mafresh for his own Nazirus. However, a woman that's a Nazira cannot be migaleach on money that her father did when he was a Nazir and died, because Allah Mishra Sinai is only on a son and not on a daughter. This then. Zakta Mishnah, Ketzad. In which case can a son be Mgalech on Nazirus Av Misha Yehuva Av Nazir? Him and his father were Nazirim. So even if he was a Nazir Bechayav, his father was still alive, Behifish Av Mois Tum Nazir, and his father was Mafresh Mois L'Tzarech the Karbanis of his own Nazirus. And he did not specify what it was for. It was Mois Tumim. He said it was Stam money. He said this money should be Nazirus. Umeis, and the father dies. Amar Yosef Areli Yipun Dava. This money should fall on a Dava. Ve'inz Mangaleach on Nazirus Aviv. So Rabbi Yossi said that no, in this case. Okay, so it seems like, I wasn't sure if Rabbi Yossi's arguing, but it seems like Rabbi Yossi is saying, no, in this case, the Mois is Yiplon Nadava, why? And the Ben cannot be Galech on Nazirus Aviv, because he was already Nazir Bechai Aviv, while his father was alive. And they were both Chayiv to bring Karbanis for Nazirus at the same time. And that's not when you say the Allah Moshe Musinai, but Zok Rabbi Yossi, the Ezu Shemagalech on Nazirus Aviv, when could a son Galech on Nazirus money in his father's Nesai? Haresha of Nazir, and the father had Moistum that was mafish for his own karbanis, and he did not specify, so it's Moistum. Umeis, and he dies, and then after the father's death, Amar, the son says, That is the case that a son is allowed to megalech Naziris Aviv, and that's when you have the halach l'Moshe b'Sinai. So, frakti Gemara, my timer. What's the reason that a ish megalech al Naziris Aviv, however a woman cannot? Amr Rabbi Yochanan, halacha hi ben Nazir. It's halacha Moshe b'Sinai dafke ish and not a isha. Frakti Gemara pshita l'chor it's pashat ma'ila memra. Why do you have to have a halacha Moshe b'Sinai and tell me that the halacha Moshe b'Sinai was only said on a ben and not a bas? L'chayra, frakti Gemara, the pshita ma'ila memra, the ben yarish of a basla. It's pashat that a son has a din Yerusha and not a daughter. So maybe that's so the it's pasha that a daughter would not be able to bring her father's ma'istum that he set aside for his own naziris. So the Gemara like tzricha. You need to have it in the case the less lay elabas, in the case where there is no son, and maybe the father only had a bas. So ma'alatim yorshing gemila. I might think and say that the halacha is only said on somebody has a yoirish, he can leach on naziris on the person that he yashin. So in a case where there's no son and the bas does the Yerusha, so maybe she can be melech on Naziris of it because there's no son around because she's the one that's not inheriting. So in that, it's like the Gemara, Kamash Malan Halacha, Halacha Moshe is telling you that the din of Haben Megaleach, the din of Ha'ish Megaleach on Naziris of has nothing to do with Dina Yerusha. Rather, it's strictly Halacha Moshe Sinai, and it was only said on the son and not on the daughter. A daughter, Abbas, is Any Megalachas on Nazir Savia. So now the Gemara is going to touch on something that we touched on right in the Mishnah. Ibayalahu, B'nei Yeshiva Mesopek, Pligar Abanon Alei de Rabbi Yossi, Alei Pli. So we had this Rabbi Yossi in the Mishnah, and it seemed like Rabbi Yossi was saying the halacha ben megalech on Naziris Aviv is only when he's not a Nazir b'chayav. So the Shaila is, the Gemara wants to know, did the Tanakama argue on that, or did they not argue? Is it a machlekes? The imtim tzalim pligi. If you want to say the Chum do argue, so a Reisha, then Gemara wants to know what are they arguing on? Is it a Reisha? Is it on this? Rabbi Yossi said in the Reisha that if the ben was a Nazir b'chaya aviv, it's not megalech, and that's the Chacham hold that even in that case the ben could be megalech on the Nazir aviv. Oya seifa, or is the machlek Rabbi Yossi the Chacham on the seifa? On this, Rabbi Yossi said in the seifa that if the ben was not a Nazir b'chaya aviv, he could be megalech on the Nazir aviv, and that Chacham are arguing and they hold that even in that case you cannot be megalech. And they hold that there's no halacha b'shem b'sina b'chlal that a ben's megalech on Nazir Savim. Maybe they argue on the whole concept. Zoktei Gemara a raya. I'll bring you a raya. Toshma Ketzad. In which case Ketzad Amru. In which case they say halacha b'shem b'sina. Zoktei Gemara that a ish megalech on Nazir Savim. Zoktei Gemara Mishah Aviv Nazir. The Brisa says, Mishay Aviv Nazir, Hivish Aviv Mois Nazir. The father was a Nazir and his mafresh for his own Karbanis Naziris, and he did not specify. Umeis, and he dies. Va'amar, and the son says, Harini Nazar Manash Galech al Mois Abo. So I'm becoming a Nazir, I'm a Nas, that I can Melech on this money my father left over. That's a nazir that can melech on the money his father left over. Aval was like the Brisa. Mishaha Yehuva of Nazirim. They were both Nazirim. V'hefish of his mother's Rusai, and the father set aside the money for Nazirs. Umeis, and he died. Harei Eliyah. Then it goes to the Dava. Divrei Rabbi Yossi zok the Brisa. Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Yehuda. They argue Amru, and they say that in this case where he was already a nazir b'chaya aviv, zehu shemegaleach ha'ma'is aviv. Zok these three Tanam, Zok the Brisa, that they take a hold that that's a case of them Megalech HaMa'is Aviv. So it's Mefurish in the Brisa that the Chum argue on Rabbi Yossi in a case where the Ben was already Nazir B'chaya Aviv, and Rabbi Yossi holds that they're not Megalech. However, the Chacham clearly hold that even in this case, a son is Megalech al Nazir Aviv. So Zok the Gemara. Now the Gemara wants to know in a case where the son is Megalech on the Naziris Aviv. So what's going to be the halacha when there's a lot of sons? So how do they split the money that the father left over? Boy Rab is Vasabik. Yesh loy shnei banim Nazir. What happens if he has two sons and a Nazir? Mao. What do? Is there no halacha l'Moshe b'Sinai in this Yerusha? It's stam just hilchas a gemir law called the kadim galach. Whoever is makabel the naziris first, so he comes before his brother to get the money. Dilma Yerusha gemir law, or maybe this that the sons that are zoicha in this money of naziris goes to with Dina Yerusha, Upalga Havi, and each son will get a half, just like Dina Yerusha. So, even if the son finishes first as a Naziris, he could only take half of it, like Dina Yerusha. Zok the Gemara, Boy Rava. The Gemara is declaring another Shaila. Rava was Musopik. What would be the halacha if the father left over two sons, Bechor Upashat? He left over a Pashat, so it means he's not a Bechor, he's not the firstborn. So, what's the difference between them? A Bechor gets Pishnayim, he gets double than his brothers that are not Bechor. So tomorrow, what's going to be how are you going to split this up? Do we say that it does not work with traditional Dinei Yerusha, and rather Ta'alacha Mashmasinai specifically at a Benkum Lecha Avos Aviv V'Hochachod Bayigat Luche Lefomai Deshakel, and therefore they cannot be Megaleach Lefi what they take in Yerusha, because there's nothing to do, and he should not take Pishnayim. Yerusha, maybe it does go to with Dinei Yerusha, V'Chehechad Deshakel Pishnayim. And just like he takes Pishnayim in assets his father leaves over, so too he would have a right to take double than his brothers. And now Zok the Gemara is going to add on to this. The Imdim Tzalemer Yerusha. If you want to say it goes to a Dina Yerusha, so the Gemara is going to take it really a step back. And the Gemara wants to know that Imdim Tzalemer Yerusha, if you want to go back to the last side of the Gemara and say that if there's two brothers left over, then Lefum de Shakel Magalech, that each one would take half of the money, 50-50. So then you could declare, even when there's a Bechor and a Pashat, and they're not two regular brothers, would a Bechor take Pishnayim? Why? Because Ubechulin hu de Isle Pishnayim. If it's nechasim that are chulin, just regular mundane nechasim, assets that fall left over, then the Bechor has a right to Pishnayim, like the pasuk says, Devar Ber Chav Aleph, pasuk Yizayin, Bechor Asher Yimatzi Eloi. Avol behekdish, by money that's coming from, it didn't even belong to the father, rather it was hekdish, the father left over money for karbanas, loi, then the Bechor would not get Pishnayim, because that's not called Bechor Asher Yimatzi Eloi. Why? Because it's not something that's found to him. It's something that belongs to Hektish. It's in the Rishos HaHektish, the money that the father left over. Oidomo Zaking Amars, that would be one side. Oidomo came to Kanile, since the Ben is kinda the money, and he gets this chus figiluach on the karbanis to bring from them. So leishna. So maybe he would also get a din pishnayim. Sign the chasim that a chon and sign mois Hektish. Maybe we get pishnayim. So Zakti Gemara weiter. The Gemara is going to have another suffix now. Aviv Nazir Olam v'hu stam. What happens if the father was a Nazir Olam, but the who Nazir stam, the son was only a 30-day Nazir? And what about a Fakarat? Aviv Nazir stam, and the son v'hu Nazir Olam, the sons of Olam. What's going to be the halacha? Are you going to say halacha mashmasin the ben gwan lech on Naziris Aviv, or no? What's the shaila? Do you say ki gemir and hilchasa? When is Allah Mashmasina said only by stam naziris? But by naziris olam is no Allah Mashmasina at all that the ben kumun lech on naziris avid. No. Maybe it doesn't make a difference naziris olam or stam naziris. Just like by stam naziris you'll say that Allah Mashmasina. So I'll tell you about naziris olam is also Allah Mashmasina. And even if you want to say that, the sons of Galeach on Naziris Aviv, Saib and Naziris Alam, Saib and his regular Stam Naziris, that it does not make a difference. So Zakti Gemara, Hacha Idi Naziris Tahira. So it's a continuation actually, meaning the reason why there's no difference in Stam Naziris and Naziris only because Hacha Idi Naziris Tahira, because both of the Naziris of the father and son were Tahira Dig Naziris. So still you declare by Ravashi, still Ravashi was Supik, will be the halacha of Aviv Nazir Tami, if the father was a Nazir Tami, and he was mafish money for kabbanis of Tumah. The who, Mashinkin, the son, had a complete Torah digging Naziris, and he wants to be moisef on the money and bring Naziris to Tahira. And I'm pretty sure he would have to be moisef on the money because a Nazir Tamei brings Eifis, which is cheaper, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. A Nazir Tamei brings only birds and a keves la'asham. Which again, a Nazir Torah brings 3 behemoths. Chatas, Eila, and Asham. Okay. So that's a Shaila. And also, something more. What would be fakaret? Aviv Nazir Tahar and his mafresh mois for havas karbanos. V'hu Nazir Tamei. The son was a Nazir Tamei and wants to bring karbanos tuma. What will be the halacha? Do you say that maybe it's 2 different sugar karbanos of Naziris and Mela halacha l'moshe Sinai was not said that the ben kamelech on Naziris Aviv? Or do you say no? It doesn't make a difference. And halacha l'moshe Sinai has said that the son could bring karbanos of his father. That his father was mafresh moistum and l'shem karbanos Naziris. So it doesn't make a difference. Nazir Torah, Nazir Tamei, and all these things don't make a difference. So Zakat the Gemara is coming out of Maskana, Teku, that all these shilas blind by a suffix, and we're not partial to them. Hadron Allah Misha Amar.